Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
We are here with the Living from Your Heart series with Melody Chadamoyo. And today's topic this week, are you ready? This is how to elegantly handle red flags, deal breakers, and setting those boundaries. So I know just from my conversation before we started, thank heavens I've seen many red flags now. And I've paid attention in the last few years, so I'm ready for this conversation. Where would you like to begin, Melody?
As you get to know this man better, you're asking him the questions that we talked about last week, and you're getting to know him as a person, and you need to start staying connected within yourself. You need to connect with your body. You also need to know to have a set of values that are important to you on your side. You need to know what's important for you. Mm-hmm. So if a person is not meeting what you need them to meet, you need to clarify that, whether it's a deal breaker, it's a red flag, or you need to adjust your expectation. Depending on what's important. To me, red flags would be somebody slaps you, mm-hmm. somebody tries to control you in any way at all. Mm-hmm. Those to me are totally red flags. I wouldn't even stay. Because a person who loves you should want to love you for who you are. Mm-hmm. If they're trying to be controlling, if they're trying to tell you who to be, then they don't love you. They love the idea of something else that they have in their heads, and that's not you. So
say that one again, because people need to get that. They love the idea of you.
Yeah, the idea, it's not even the idea of you, it's the idea of you that they have in their own heads. So whatever it is, whatever vision they have in their heads that you could be, right. That's what the box they want to put you in. And there is no person who loves you who tells you how to be you. It's just not possible. So you need to be aware of those things. And this is where a lot of us women, because we are so nurturing, we're used to bringing up children, even if you don't have children. Mm-hmm. But we have had mothers, we have had mothers. So it's in our nature to be nurturing, right?
Right.
We like to grow things. Unfortunately, when you meet a man like that, a man who's controlling, who wants to tell you what to do and stuff, you can't do anything to get him to change his mind. And he can never love you enough to allow you to be you. So you need to understand that and just step away. And when you step away, you actually are opening up to meeting the right man for you.
Well, isn't it possible that he could be controlling in some elements? Like, I'm thinking right now of my father. My mother and father were married for 63 years. Together for 68. And he definitely had a controlling, perfectionist attitude. And I'm sure even my mother had unresolved issues when she was in the earlier marriage. But yet I know he loved her in the way he could love her, and he would express that in so many other ways. But I do feel like at the very end of their relationship, she was unable to perceive that. And no matter what he did, she still was holding on to the past.
Yeah, because you see, unlike men, women keep things inside them. We are very good at that. So, and men get past it. They forget completely the hurts that they've caused, whatever. But it's not his fault if she never told him that's what he was doing when he was doing it. Right. It's not his fault if she didn't ask for what she needed at the time when those things were happening. Right. Because unfortunately, men's memories don't go. They're part of the brain that keeps things in their head. It's not that big. So if you go to him 5 years later and you say, 3 years ago, you treated me like this, he's going to say, what's wrong with you, woman? you need to have handled it at the time. And I think as well, we need to understand that people have moved on. Like your parents, during the time that they were growing up, that was normal.
Right.
It was normal for a man to dictate whatever
Mm-hmm.
was happening in their homestead. And women were not trained, a lot of women were not trained how to handle that and
Right.
get what they need. So it also depended on how her father treated her mother and how she was treated by her father and all sorts of things. But we have evolved a bit more now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And as we have evolved, there are things that used to be acceptable then that are not acceptable now.
Got it.
And some of it is, that's why you need to be careful when you're with a person. When they treat other people around them badly, like you are at a restaurant and he's snapping at waiters or calling women names or whatever, that's how he's going to treat you down the line.
Right.
So you need to be careful. I remember one of my very close friends telling me that, you know, she was so angry. She was like a live wire about to explode. So angry. And I was thinking, why are you angry? And she said, well, how could he treat me like that? He was so awful. And how could I allow it to happen? And it was she felt, because I said, you know, God gave you warnings. Initially, she wasn't even accepting of that. She said, no, God gave me that husband and only that husband. How could he give me that husband and then give me a husband like that? And I said, no. God gave you a husband that you chose.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were warning signs in between. And she wouldn't admit to it. Then later on, after she had done a lot of processing, she said, yeah, you know, I remember one time when she went to visit him, because he was in Zimbabwe, she was here in Ireland, and she went to visit him, and his mother had asked him to clean the car, and instead of him cleaning the car, he told their maid to clean the car. And she did, because she wanted to keep her job. But she was a bit like, but you are the one who was supposed to do this.
Right.
And that's how he got away from doing things. You would say, oh, darling, you're so good at this. Why don't you do it? To take him away from the responsibility of doing things. And because she's so capable.
Okay, that was just too close to home. Okay, oh, darling, why don't you?
I'm a mind reader.
And at first I thought, yes, I am good at it.
Yes, I'm so good at it, and you're useless, so I'm going to do everything. And you're just going to sit there and look pretty.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work. You will feel, it doesn't take you time to feel resentful.
Yep.
Yeah. And he, despite the fact that he's lazy, he also will feel resentful towards you because you're showing him up.
Yeah.
Men need challenge. Men need to do things. Men need to prove themselves. That's what they need to do. And you need to allow him to do that. If you don't, and you start babying him and treating him like he's less than you, he will start to disrespect you because he's looking at himself with your eyes.
And you have to let him choose what he wants to do, right? Like, it's not that I'm going to tell, because I did that one too. Well, I'll let you do this part of the finances and then you'll feel good about that. And then that will help transform you. But he's got to decide what he's going to do and when he's going to do it.
And how he's going to do it. Because I fell into that. I fell into the whole, I'm perfect. I can do everything. And you just sit there and look pretty. and my husband, and every time he did something, I would criticize it. Mm-hmm. It was cooking dinner, I would criticize. It was the baby, I criticized. So he said, okay, fine. I won't do anything. He didn't tell me. He just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
And in my perfect woman kind of mode, I did everything and I didn't need him after all. I can do everything. I'm strong. And then one day I started, because I'm very observant. I always examine my life regularly.
Right.
I thought, I'm overwhelmed. That day he woke up and he said, Melody, where are my socks? And I told him exactly where his socks are. I'm a librarian. Cataloging is very easy for me. And so I told him where his socks were. I took his clothes off and I put them on the bed, which is so crazy. And I can't remember what else I did. I watched the baby. I went out. I cooked dinner. I cleaned the house. and I couldn't breathe.
Mm.
I was overwhelmed, like the world was falling on top of me. And then I started thinking, why am I looking after a grown man's socks? What's wrong with me?
Right.
Why can't he look after his own socks?
Right.
So he came home and I said, you know what? From now on, I don't know where your stuff is. It's your job to know where it is. Don't ask me about where your stuff is.
Right.
Past that. Then maybe a week later, I went back and I said, I need your help. I'm overwhelmed. I can't do this. I really need you to help me. And he said, oh, okay. You need me to help you with what? And I said, everything. From the baby, the house, the shopping, and stuff. And he said, and you allow me to do it my way? And I said, oh, happily.
Hallelujah, praise God. Yes.
Yeah. So the red flags are things that you need to be aware of. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we create our own red flags. Sometimes we, because I'm not saying it's your fault when a man hits you. I'm not saying it's a fault when anything at all is done to you by anybody. But it's your fault how you respond to it. If it's something that you cannot accept at all, walk away. Mm-hmm. And you just say, you know what? We were trying to build this thing. We're building a foundation to see whether we work or not. But I am not feeling it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't feel like we can grow any further than we've already grown. And I would rather we'll spend our time being with other people than to be with each other. It's all my fault. I'm sorry, but I don't feel like we can go anywhere together. When you do it that way, he has no choice but to accept it. Unless he's a serious jerk, of which you can get a big man to just threaten him. But no, I'm joking. I'm joking about that. But usually, oh God, the things that come out of my mouth. Okay. So, like, when you say it like that, a person is going to stop and think. But the best thing about that is you're not breaking him in the process. You're not breaking his balls. You're not telling him he's less of a man. You're not telling him anything's wrong with him.
Right.
Because there's nothing wrong with him. That's who he is.
Right.
If he figures out at some stage that every time he gets with a girl and they get to a certain stage and the girl dumps him or leaves him or whatever, he's going to want to know why and he's going to correct himself.
Right.
It's not your job to wait for him to do that journey for himself.
Right. And that is a gem, because here's the thing, right, is people somehow feel, I don't know where we got into this idea, that if I tell you what you're doing wrong, then you're going to shift or change or whatever. You're going to be, oh, I'm so grateful you told me, Jacqueline.
Okay, I know why we do that as women.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Because women like to be told how to fix things, and we fix them. It's in us. I don't know. We respond to criticism a lot. Like if you said, oh, Melody, that top you're wearing is ugly or whatever, it doesn't suit you very well, I'll never wear this top again, despite the fact I love it.
Really?
Because that's how women are. I know you have got a masculine brain, so you're not normal. You're like me, okay? But I've read a lot of research about this, and I had to go deeper because I don't get it. But now I do. That's how women respond to criticism. When their friends say, oh my God, those shoes look bad on you or whatever. That's why women ask, does my butt look big in this? The only answer is yes. Don't ask that question. Anyway, that's my rant.
Is that, though, a training? I don't think that's a characteristic. I think we've been trained up to feel, in a sense, inadequate. So we're feeling inadequate or less than, hence we're expecting criticism.
Yeah. We are open and we expect it and we respond to it as well.
Okay.
Change. if you do that with a man, if you go and tell a man, you are so lazy, stop, get off the sofa and do something. I don't know if you've ever met any woman, any man at all who has ever responded to that. If you ever met any of your, ask your friends. We have made a lifetime of criticizing men. The worst thing to get any response, if you get any response at all, it's going to be silent treatment. Or he is going to pretend like he didn't even hear you speaking.
Or he turns up the TV volume.
Yes.
Right.
Or he goes into his head and he hides there and you will never find him again. Criticism does not work for men. Praise does. Now, if you want him to jump up and down and start doing things for you, and you say, oh, you're so good at this, will you please help me with this? And help me is an amazing word. Like that phrase, help me. I told a friend recently, and the fact that she was in that situation was puzzling to me. She's starting a new business. She was running out of money. Her husband has money. And then she came to me asking for money. And I said, then she says, but my husband has money, but I'm too afraid to go and ask him. I'm like, huh? How are you afraid to go and talk to your husband about your business? Anyway, I just said, okay, fine. Talk to me. What's going on? And then she says, well, because I was asking him for money last week and things got complicated, blah, blah, blah. And I said, one, it's business. You tell him why you need the money, what it is for, because men don't just want to shell out money. They want an explanation. So give him an explanation that makes sense. Once you've done that, he's going to give you the money. And just say, help me. Just say that. Help me, please. I am desperate. If you don't even need to say I'm desperate, just say, help me. And 10 minutes later, she rang me and she said, oh, I got the money. You are so wise. And I'm like, wow. But if you go and you say, you never help me, blah, 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 he's going to say, okay, fine, go back to TV. Yeah. Boy, very good today.
Right.
Yeah. So,
okay, so
understand what your intention is and help yourself get what you need.
There's a rap song to that one. Okay, so a red flag. Let's just go over some key ones. So physical abuse.
Yes.
Right? And we're talking about, you're going to decide how, because some people think, oh, well, if they accidentally hit me, it's not so bad. It was whatever. It's what they do with it when it happens is setting a pattern going forward.
Yeah.
Right? But what you're saying is if he's going to hit you and you just
how do you accidentally hit someone?
Yeah.
Like you lift up your hand and it gets to their body by itself. How is that possible?
Right. If they're married, you're supposed to, deal breaker. Okay. Yeah. Verbal abuse and controlling. I think that is the most subtle. And I think we need to sort of expand on some of those things because we talked that idea where we, like your friend, when he's saying, oh, you could do it, you're better at it, right? They're subtly luring you into their den for you taking care of it. And then there's the subtle controlling, which is, Melody, I really like it when your hair is the other way. And gee, Melody, I really like, I want you to cover up, or I want you to wear this, or, little things like that. At first you think, oh, he cares so much about me. He thinks I look better that way. But then you're realizing every time you go to put on something you like, he doesn't really like it.
Yeah, but okay. This is when you connect with you. You connect with your heart and you connect with your body. When somebody tells you something out of love, your response is different from when they are saying it out of fear or controlling.
Okay.
Because your reaction is going to be different. Whether we like it or not, we sense the energy of love, just like we sense the energy of danger and everything. If you are connected with you and you're not in your pleasing mode, you're in yourself, your body is going to tense up the minute it says, oh, I like you in this. Okay? Because that's not love. That's just trying to shape you to make you into that version of you that is not you.
Right.
Because, like, I remember I had a friend whose husband wanted her to put on miniskirts up to the whatever, up above the knee, nearly half of the leg. And she wasn't comfortable, but she wanted to please her husband, so she kept doing it. And I said, I would never do that. I do not wear things that I'm not comfortable in. It doesn't matter whether that makes him happy. It's not about him.
Right.
It's about you.
Right.
What are you giving yourself? It's one thing to do it once in a while. It's another thing to insist day to day that I do this because it makes you happy.
Right.
Because I'm not property, I'm a person. I should be able to make choices about what I put on my body.
Yeah.
And what I do with my body. That should be a choice. No one else should get that choice except you.
So you could choose one day to wear something that maybe makes you feel a little uncomfortable, but you know that he loves you in, because you're choosing powerfully to say, I'm going to give him this, sense of appreciation because he really loves me in this, even though I feel uncomfortable in it. But if you're doing it all the time,
then something is wrong.
Right. It's a deal breaker.
Yes.
And what about a guy that is really connected to his mother?
Okay, there are two ways a guy is connected to his mother. One is very good because it shows him he respects women and he loves women. Mm-hmm. The other one is unhealthy, controlling, again, because his mother is afraid. She wants to own him, and he hasn't been able to extricate himself from his mother. Mm-hmm. Every man on earth has to be able to extract himself from his mom. Mm-hmm. It's a manly thing. Right. And I saw when I was dating my boyfriend, the day he told his mother off, I was there. He was not disrespectful. He just said, Mom, I don't need you. You need to go home now. Mm-hmm. And he was moving to college. He had loads of things. He wasn't driving. He was getting the bus. And he said, Melody is going to help me. I don't need you to help me anymore. And she was disappointed, but she got it. Right. And she went home, and the two of us struggled with his luggage. We got it, and he got to go. But every man needs to do that. Right. And he needs to set boundaries with his mother. Because if he doesn't do that, it will get into his relationships. So it's very important to teach your son you teach him that you respect him. Because then he's going to respect you. And then he's going to respect the woman he's going to be with. And if she is so controlling that she's telling him what to do and he runs to mommy, he's 2 years old. He's not a man. I'm sorry, he's still a boy. Right. Yeah, and there's a difference between a boy and a man. A big difference.
So does a man or a boy, or does it vary, want his mother to live with him and his wife?
Most men feel very uncomfortable to be with their mothers or their wives. The things they think about their wives, they just don't like that. No, unless it's because she needs him in like health-wise and stuff, and there's nothing he can do. She has to be there. Mm-hmm. Then that's different because that has to be done. But if she's healthy and she's fine and she can live alone, most men don't want to live with their mothers. It's a Western culture. So where I come from, I wouldn't even date a man who lives with his mother after 25 years. After 21 years, I wouldn't. Right. That's dangerous, yeah.
So that would be a red flag.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Yeah, right. If you met a guy and you say, because what used to happen is the moment we went to college, right? Mm-hmm. When you start working, your mom will start the first maybe 3 months. She'll be making sure you save money to buy pots and plates and all that. Mm-hmm. And then she's going to say, right, here is your money. Get out of here. Go find somewhere else to live. Because that's going to teach you independence, it's going to teach you planning, it's going to teach you a lot of things. And when she's saying save money, she's teaching you how to save. Some people didn't go to boarding school. You went to boarding school, you knew how to save already. So you just go and start living on your own.
Right. Okay. And what about the fact that he's very entrepreneurial and has yet in many years to actually find himself?
That's a tricky one because I've got an entrepreneurial mind, but I also have a responsible. The one thing I see most men do is once they have someone to look after, they take responsibility. They look for a job that they hate because they have to provide for their families. That's what I've seen a lot of people do. Sometimes, well, if the woman allows him to stay, you need to be careful as well because people use people all the time. Now it's up to you. Some people write and it takes them forever to be discovered, or they act and it takes them forever to be discovered. Right. Most of them, though, find jobs in between to do while they are doing their craft. So they do it outside of work. They get a job because you still need to pay your bills. A person who stays at home and they don't pay any bills, I would worry about that. I would. You need to be very careful because people have been used. Women have been used so many times. And then we get bitter and we don't open our hearts and we don't allow that man who's going to cherish you and love you and romance you go because we are so angry about that person who doesn't even deserve your anger.
Right. Okay, so I'm reminded of this movie. It's a story. Anyways, however, the movie I can't even think of the title, but it was Lisa, what's her name from Friends, was the character in the play. Okay. And she was looking for a guy, and so she would go up to the guy and she'd say, "Hey, are you single?" And he'd go, "Yeah." And she'd go, "Okay, are you gay?" And so the guy said, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, see you later," right? He says, "No." She's like, "Okay, do you have a job?" And he'd say, "Yeah." And then she'd kiss him. You have a quick kiss, and then she'd go, "No." And move on. And that's how she searched for her guy. She had boundaries. She had boundaries.
Yeah, but she was also using the other people. It's unfortunate because we wouldn't want a guy to do that to us, would we? Would we want him to come and kiss us and then say, sure, you're not good enough for me?
No.
Exactly. So why do it?
Okay.
We think men don't have feelings and we can do these things to them and they are going to be okay. But they are as sensitive, actually more sensitive than we are. They just hide it so well.
Really?
And yeah, they do because that's how they're trained. Boys, this has been scientifically proven, boys are held much less than girls. When they cry, even at 1, when he falls and he cries, people tell him to stop crying because he's being a girl. So he learns from a very young age that nobody's going to give him any comfort. Even his mother constantly tells him that being a boy is wrong by saying, "Sit down, stop it, sit down, stop it, sit down." That's like a mantra. So being a boy in modern society is wrong. And unfortunately, before they could go on adventures out in the woods, that's not allowed anymore because people say it's not safe. Right. So boys are being raised to be girls who are boys. Anyway, so but boys are very, very sensitive. Men are very, very sensitive. They won't show it to a person they don't trust.
Got it.
A man would have to trust you implicitly with their emotions, that once he has opened up to you, you are not going to use it against them.
Right.
And if you make that mistake, like he opens up and in anger, he says something he said while he was being vulnerable, that's it. That door is shut forever and it's never going to be opened again. So we need to be very careful. And in talking about red flags, there are women who use men all the time too. I'm not saying men are the bad guys here. Women do it. I have friends who said, "I lost my job and my wife dumped me, told me to move out of the house." That is so unfair.
Right.
It's not like he wasn't looking for a job. He lost his job, started looking for another one. But in between losing a job, like lost his job this week, 2 months later, because he had not found a job yet, he got chucked out of the house.
Right.
That is so unfair. Because you're kicking someone who's already down.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, those ones you've got to sort of evaluate, right? Like he could have lost the job because he's been wanting to lose the job forever, right? You know, and now it was his opportunity to say, now I don't have to do anything. Or it could be the fact that he's hurt and sensitive and he needs that zone to recuperate before he can stand on his own 2 feet again.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And setting boundaries is also about talking about sex. And whether you're ready for it or you're not. Mm-hmm. And women tend to think because men love sex a lot, that's how they connect with people, that's how they get intimacy. Right. So they would never say no most of the time. You know, it's one thing they would love to do because that's how they feel more connected. And so women give men sex, or they think they're giving men sex. I don't ever believe in this. I have to categorically say, I don't ever believe that I'm giving anyone anything. I'm getting what I want. I'm not sacrificing my body. I'm not giving anyone anything I don't want to give.
Right.
So don't make it like you are just giving him and you are getting nothing out of it. It's a give and take.
It's not like, have my body.
Yeah, and I'm just going to lie here and pretend and pretend I'm not there. And a man who knows himself, a man who's a real man, will know when you are not present.
Yeah. And
my man was even worse because he would talk about it and tell me, that's not fair. So, yeah, so you have to be present. I've learned that. Like, being in love teaches you so many things about yourself that you didn't know. And yeah, so I've learned that sometimes you need to actually, not sometimes, you need to be present in everything. You also need to ask when you're setting boundaries as women, because it takes us 2 weeks to forget, for our body and our hormones to forget about the whole sex experience. It takes men 2 hours. This has been, researched and found out. So if you are not ready to go that mile, don't. And men will respect that.
Right.
Don't do this whole, we kiss until we get to a point of no return and then you say, I don't want to do it. Right. Tell him, have a conversation about it and say, I'm not ready to go this far. Right. Can we just end there for now and see how things progress? Right. And then when we get more serious, we can talk about it again and see how it goes. And he's going to say, okay, fine, I can deal with that. And he will respect you. And if he's not willing to respect you, that's another red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a run, because it's never going to be good anyway. So, and it doesn't mean if you sleep with him, he's going to commit.
Right.
It doesn't. It doesn't mean that at all. No. Like, women think it does, but it doesn't. No. It's just rushing into sex will only cause you pressure and confusion. Because now you have hormones thinking, oh, I'm in love with him, whatever, because you're bonded to him when he's not there yet.
I heard wherever, I don't know where I read it, I think Dr. Northrup was talking about, is that now the study is that there is, when the male's inside you, it actually is somehow reaching energetically out to your heart chakra.
Yeah.
And so what's going on there is you're creating this space of, this love, or I want this connection. They're not getting that at all. They're just over it.
No.
They're over it.
Because for them, sex is not about love.
Right.
It's a physical thing. It only gets to be about love once he has done the whole cave thing and come out and cave thing and come out and decided, okay, this is really the woman for me. Because I feel more like a man when I'm with her. I feel happier when I'm with her. I feel more confident when I'm with her. So this is the right woman for me. Now he allows his heart to get involved.
Right.
And now his heart starts to open up and everything starts to gush out. And now you can say, okay, fine. Now we are moving in the same direction. And then you can, but it's not like that for us.
Right.
That's why it's very important to wait. And what Dr. Nanthrop says actually is what I experienced. Because once I decided I was going to open my heart, first time I did that, and like that, we were having sex, and I had this, I can't call it out of body experience. It was like an explosion in my heart.
Right.
And I felt, I'd never felt so connected and so happy and so joyful at the same time. We didn't feel like we were on a bed. It felt like we were flying on a higher level.
Right.
God, I'm telling people things I shouldn't tell them. And
you were on a higher level. Ecstasy.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And like I had reached the big O many times before that. But this one is different. No. Exactly. We're not talking about Oprah. Yeah, but you know what I mean. So I'd never felt like that before. But it was because I removed my defenses that I started to feel like this. And every time now, I was actually willing, I was actually looking for that higher connection. And sometimes I would have this mantra, I love you in my heart. And I would feel even more, like fireworks and whatever. If only anyone could see it. And then afterwards, he would say, wow, that was amazing. Did you feel that? And I said, yeah, I did. Right. And we tried to put it into words and we couldn't. So we would just be dazed. Right. Looking at each other thinking, I don't know what that was, but it was amazing. Right. But I didn't know that was possible. I really didn't. And nobody ever talks about it like that. So this was all inside me. And it was only later on, even when I started reading about tantric sex and stuff like that, it still didn't explain what I experienced. Right. And you are the first person I'm talking to about this.
And the rest of the world, Melody.
I know. And so I know opening your heart gives you that. And if anything is worth anything, that is worth it. Everybody needs to experience that. Yeah. And it's not the same. Like it's to do with your heart and your heart chakra opening and I think connecting to a higher plane. I don't know how to explain it. Right. But it's just awesome. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's a whole new world.
It is definitely a whole new world.
It's everybody's best whole new world. And you can have it with your partner or your partner or your partner or your partner
or your partner. And unfortunately you can't just have it with anyone.
Right.
Like you can't have it like people, I think maybe we know it on an intrinsic level that you could get that. So we go around looking for it. So we sleep with as many people as possible looking for it, except it only comes once you are stable, once you are connected, once your heart is open. And you can't have your heart open while you are moving from one person to the other. It's just not possible. So you need to be stable. You need to be connected to yourself. And then open your heart. And then everything is lining up and then you go to a higher plane.
Like two becoming one.
One, exactly.
In that expression of oneness. Okay, is there anything you want to finish off with on how to elegantly handle red flags, deal breakers, and boundaries today?
I just want to say, going back to sex, it should be able to give you, it's like giving a gift to someone or sharing something special. And not just about manipulating someone to love you or to give you what you want. Or like it's much more than that. It's like no one is taking anything. When there is taking, then it's not good anymore. Now there's fear and all that stuff. But when it's the gift of giving something you don't just share with everybody else, there's something you share with that one person you are so connected to, it's a beautiful experience. But we need to be careful how we give it, when we give it, who we give it to, because that has an impact on how our lives shape up, especially for women. So and that should be one of those things that you seriously consider setting boundaries on. Because if you don't, you tend to feel uncomfortable in your body, and you might as well not do it at all, because you're not going to get the value of that connection in in that experience.
Yeah, and that is a whole other topic, and I can just, from my perspective of having been sexually abused and raped, and I can look over the expanse of situations, and from really in the beginning it was I had to be either drinking or on drugs, sort of thing, to participate in the situation, because it was so painful. And now to have this complete awareness and presence of this wow, just as you say, this huge other dimension, and to be completely aware and present of it, it's fabulous, and it's a gift for yourself, for sure.
Yes, yeah. So if you want to have more conversations, please leave a comment on Heart Passion Institute. We really would love to know more about what you've been experiencing and what you think about this topic and all that, so we can expand it and we get more out of it, and people learn more out of it, so they know how to set boundaries and have happier, more connected relationships. Or on my website, again, Heart Passion Institute. And leave comments wherever. We'll be following up, and we would love to hear from you. And thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Melody.
Mwah.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye.